welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, where sports and culture connect. I'm here to do part 3 of the trilogy I started yesterday. I said I had 3 videos I wanted to do, and I did the first one yesterday. It was about the conflict of interest with Napheesa Collier being a part of the negotiations for the WNBA CBA, as well as being an owner of Unrivaled. Conflict of interest as I see it. Did that. Number 2, I wanted to take a deeper dive into various thoughts that I have concerning what Napheesa Collier said in her exit interview after several days had passed and I had time to process it. And so I really kind of zoned in on a question I had about physicality, which we hear a lot in this league. Seems to be something players, at least vocal players, seem to wear as a badge of honor. And yet it also sounds like Napheesa Collier was speaking out against that when she made her statement. So I had some thoughts about that. If you did not catch those 2 videos, make sure you do. And here's the third. This one, as I told you, would be about what Cathy Engelbert needs to do. Again, as I see it. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. And that is that Cathy Engelbert needs to step aside from being the commissioner of the WNBA. Now, I'm not saying that because of what Napheesa Collier said about Cathy Engelbert, about any of it, about it being horrible leadership, about her not really caring about the players. It's not even that. Not really, and hear me out. It's not about her saying that Cathy Engelbert said that the players need to be on their knees thanking her, or that she supposedly said that Caitlin Clark wouldn't be making any money if it were not for the WNBA. Although saying both those things was just a bad move, even if she thought it. Saying that, not cool. So if it's not those things, Adrienne, then what is it? What it is that the commissioner, who is the employer, who is the leader, has lost the room. And every speaker and every teacher knows what I mean when I say you lost the room. You have lost the audience. They are not dialed into you at all. And maybe they were in the beginning and now they're not, or maybe they never were. All I know is that right now, Cathy Engelbert has lost the respect of the people she's supposed to be able to lead. Now, let me be more clear. Every person who's ever worked for somebody somewhere, you have heard employees not like their employer. You've heard them tell you blah, 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 blah about the boss. They don't like the boss. That happens everywhere. That's not something new. So that's not my point when I say that she has lost their respect. The problem for Cathy Engelbert is that she has even lost their public respect. Like I said, on every job, there are people who disrespect the boss, and they usually keep that among themselves. They don't usually come out to the public and blast the boss. When that happens, you have absolutely lost it all, because they're not even pretending anymore. So we had Napheesa Collier come out and call her out. We got the best players in the world. We got the best whatever in the world, league in the world. I don't know how she said it, but we have the worst leadership in the world. You can't really get more bold than that. And it was done in public and she didn't care. And then you had coaches coming along saying, yep, we're down with what Napheesa Collier said. And you have players in this league. Yep, we're down with what Napheesa Collier said. You had people who already, some were already there. Like I commented about Sophie Cunningham after the WNBA All-Star break, how she just, after they wore those shirts, pay us what you owe us. And then she went to media availability and was very blatantly disrespectful to the commissioner. But now you got many voices doing the same thing. Sophie Cunningham did it again the other day on her podcast. And again, you have many other voices doing the same thing. There is supposed to be a certain level of at least public respect for your employer, or some kind of awareness that that's the boss, you're not the boss. There's a certain sort of amount of what we would call healthy fear. I'm not talking about that shaking and quaking fear that, they all had for Diana Taurasi. I had to throw that in there. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a certain amount of that healthy fear. Okay, here's the boss. Okay, you're not going to say that, but they don't have that. And when you are the boss and you don't have that, you can't lead, because right now they're not willing to follow. Nafisa Collier had a plan to meet with the commissioner, whatever it is they were going to talk about, whether it was the CBA or whatever it was, the situation where Cathy Engelbert said, I didn't say it, and Nafisa Collier had already said she said it, whatever the meeting was about. She doesn't have enough respect to say, okay, I'm going to follow through with this meeting with the commissioner. She's like, nah, it's over. We've reached that place. She ruined it. We got nothing else to talk about. How do you lead when people are basically like, we're not following, we're not showing up at the meeting, and we're calling you the worst leadership we've ever seen, and folks are just letting it all out there. And so I'm not one that said, I think people should be fired. That's not really what I'm saying, but I'm saying that at sometimes you reach a point when your being there is detrimental and non-productive because people won't receive from you. And right now, they don't care. They can go in front of a microphone and dog the boss. You've lost the room, Cathy. And you also have people who are supposed to be media, which sort of supposed to be impartial, one would think. They too are dogging Cathy. Take Friday night. After the commissioner made her statements before game 1 of the WNBA finals, you had Chinea Gumake, whom I think doesn't seem to realize that she's not a WNBA player anymore. A lot of times these people that are supposedly media, they're not talking like media. They're talking like people with an agenda. Chinea Gumake, she was going off before the game about Cathy Engelbert. She sounded like she'd been talking to her sister, who's the president of all these negotiations, and sound like she might be too much in the know. Anyway, even she was just boom, boom, boom.
And I think it's apparent, abundantly clear, that there has been a great divide between the players and our commissioner or the league office in order to have productive conversations. And now Nafisa's statement that she made in her exit interview is accountability. These players are going to stand on business on the court, but most importantly, they're going to do what the W has always done. They're going to stand on business off the court and fight for what they believe they deserve. And I want people to understand, because and everyone is playing their role to get to a point where they avoid a lockout, they keep this product on the floor. But in order to do that, you have to have conversations, and now it feels like it's been wasted time, and that's on Cathy, unfortunately.
So even the media not being impartial about Cathy Engelbert, and you had Stephen A., who went off.
Cathy Engelbert, the commissioner of the league, let me say for the record, you should resign. You need to resign, period. When a player, any player, but especially one of that magnitude, attacks you publicly like that, that weak-ass statement Commissioner Engelbert gave is not good enough. Cathy Engelbert needs to resign.
So again, you have lost it. The whole room, Cathy Engelbert, the players, coaches who have spoken out, and important pieces to this whole thing as well. Caitlin Clark, she didn't get in the weeds like they would have liked her to, because she's too smart to do that. But she did make some points, one of them being Nafisa made valid points, Caitlin Clark said. But again, she didn't let them drag her down a little bit. But I could interpret what she said about the leadership, and I translated it in one of the videos which is basically she's probably not hip to how things roll right now. If she thinks that I needed them to make money, we probably need somebody who's more up to date with how this thing goes. That's pretty much how Caitlin said it, but of course with a lot more tact. But the bottom line is that whether justified or not, Cathy Engelbert is not respected. And when you are not respected, you get what we're seeing right now, which is like chaos and rebellion, and people, maybe a coup. Like people are like, we're ready to totally take over. Now, Cathy said during that press conference before game one that she had no intentions of quitting. That's more inaccuracy out there, that she has dealt with a lot of things and she is not a quitter and she has no intentions of going anywhere. That's what she said. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, because the rumors were that she would continue the CBA negotiations and then she would step aside. Sports Business Journal was reporting that other people were saying that, but that it was not true. Again, Cathy called that not true, inaccurate, that she was here to take care of business. Here's the issue. You have to be able to negotiate in good faith. You've got to have trust to be able to have true negotiations, even if there's a level of distrust. Overall, you have to believe that there's, I'm going to respect you, you're going to respect me, and together we might have friction, but we can come together. We got a VP in this, Nafisa Collier, who's like, I'm even going to talk to you. I ain't going to talk to you. It's a wrap. So now you all coming together, and then in Nafisa Collier, you got her, Cathy Engelbert, supposedly, allegedly said something to Nafisa, and then Nafisa went and told everybody. So how can there be trust on that end? So you don't want to lose whatever you gained so far, but can Cathy Engelbert stay in that role and negotiate in good faith when she probably doesn't trust Nafisa, and Nafisa surely doesn't trust her, and the others don't trust her either, and they're dogging her in public? How do you get anywhere in that situation? In those situations, there are two things you can do. One, I totally hear Cathy Engelbert when she says, I'm not a quitter, I'm not going nowhere. And if she feels like she's being misrepresented, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But if she feels like she's being misrepresented, there's sometimes a part of you that says, I know they're trying to run me out, or people want to run me off. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay right here and continue to do the job that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not going nowhere. Now there's that side. And then there's the other side that says your being there is a hindrance because you've lost the respect of the people you're supposed to be leading. So the best thing you could do is just take a loss, step away, and let somebody else come in for the betterment of the organization. I personally, it'd be interesting to see how it plays out. And I'm not in her position. So, and there are times when I'm like, hey, 10 toes down, I'm fighting this thing. You're not running me off. And there are other times that I got to throw up my hand and say, you know what? You guys run with it. And I think that right now, from what I can see, it would be better for Cathy to step away. I think about when Caitlin Clark was asked if, number one, Nafisa had told her about what Cathy allegedly said before Nafisa went out there and told the world. And Caitlin said a very swift no. The next question was, has Cathy reached out to you? And perhaps there was an even swifter no. And my thought is, Cathy, like, why not? Why not? Why didn't you call Caitlin? Right? Even if what Nafisa said was taken out of context, or if you didn't say it, either way, I would have wanted to get on the phone and say, Caitlin, I don't know where Nafisa came up with that, but that is not what I said. Or if she said something similar to that, which is my thinking, and maybe the context was different, I don't know. But at least you want to get on the phone and say, listen, Caitlin, because that was really a disrespectful comment. If it's true, you would want to get on the phone and you would want to go, let me tell you what I actually said and let me tell you what I meant. But not to have reached out at all, it's really, to me, not good leadership. So I have to agree there. Of course, there are lots of people who aren't good leaders floating all over the place and leading all kinds of places. But when people start calling you out publicly, you might want to rethink your role. That's what I'm saying. Now, Nafisa also commented that Cathy did not reach out to her about her injuries. Now, she was injured earlier on. She missed quite a bit. I think it was like 8 games. And then she got injured again. And she's like, I've heard from players. I've heard from that. Well, one person I never heard from was Cathy Engelbert. Now, I got to say this in all fairness to Cathy. I don't know how many people, how many bosses are going to be calling, especially in the WNBA where people are dropping like flies. I don't know that you're making a phone call to every person who's injured. I mean, you got a company to run. Granted, there are only like 144 players or whatever in the league. So I guess she could have done that. But I don't even think that's the issue with Nafisa that Cathy Engelbert didn't call. Nafisa sounded like she felt that Cathy just didn't care. And I already told you the saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Had Nafisa felt already that Cathy Engelbert cared about her and the players, her not calling her about injuries probably wouldn't have mattered at all. But because she already felt like Cathy didn't care, that only made it worse. So there's that perspective as well. And obviously, when you listen to these other players who don't have a problem being vocal about what they're thinking, unions have a way of making people a little bit less concerned. But still, there still is generally a level of respect that you show in public. And Cathy can't even buy that right now. And so I don't know how effectively she can lead this group. So from my perspective, I think she needs to go. I wish her well, but we've had issues with Cathy before. But when you don't have anybody on your side, and I don't hear a lot of people on her side, how do you lead if people aren't willing to follow? Well, Adam Silver obviously is the commissioner of the NBA. What does he have to say about this? Because some people are calling for her to be fired. I'm saying if you can read the room, Cathy, you know you lost the room. Instead of being fired, you could exit stage left. That's my thinking. Let's see what Adam Silver had to say about it all. So we're going to go over to ESPN.com. This piece is called Silver. WNBA, CBA will get done, but relationships must be repaired. And I'm not going to read all of this. I'm going to get to some of his quotes, but I will read the first paragraph. First 2 paragraphs. It says NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said a new collective bargaining agreement with WNBA players will be reached, but acknowledged relationship issues must be repaired following recent criticisms of Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. Those issues reached a high point last week when Minnesota's Nafisa Collier said the league has, quote, the worst leadership in the world. And they have threatened to overshadow the WNBA finals between Las Vegas and Phoenix that began days afterwards. So let's look at what Adam Silver said on Monday today, right here. It says, there's no question that the WNBA is going through growing pains, and it's unfortunate that it's coming just as their most important games and their finals are on right now. We've had 2 fantastic games so far. And we want to celebrate the game at the moment. And then we've got to sit down with the players and negotiate a new collective bargaining agreement. So it sounds to me like he's saying the number one priority is to get through the finals, and then we're going to proceed with the negotiations. Now, makes me wonder, though, if his mindset is if Cathy is leaving, for example, we're not going to do that right now because we want the focus to be on these players who are in the finals, and we don't want to take away from that, which, of course, is already happening in this soap opera called the WNBA. Let's see what else he said right here. He said Cathy Engelbert has presided over historic growth in the league, but there's no question that there's issues that we need to address with our players, not just economic. There's relationship issues as well. I'm confident we can fix those over time, and this league can continue to be on the rocket trajectory that it's on right now. relationship issues. Do you remember whenever Caitlin Clark was asked at her exit interview about leadership, she mentioned the same thing that she mentioned when she was doing the Pan Am game, and she did the sit down interview, and she talked about relationships. Leadership cannot be separated from relationships. So relationships need to be fixed. And I don't know, from what I'm seeing, if these relationships can be fixed, especially when people are like, I'm not even willing to talk to you right now, and other people are willing to chime in public, mind you. This is what I'm saying. That's a whole different thing. When it's in public, that means you've really lost what you need to be able to lead. So the question remains, if Adam Silver and company, all the people involved in the decision making about the commissioner, will have her go after these finals, if she will go or if she will stand 10 toes down and say, I'm not going anywhere. As of right now, unless people are willing to work with her, she would do better to say goodbye. I'll catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.